Mahadev, 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 Mahadev. So in the previous session, we discussed on all the civilizations, all the developments, whatever has happened or is happening, is only for the physical development. That is why it is known as Bhautika, which is meant only for Bhuta, material. They are no way connected to spiritual development, realization of the self, and being. When you realize, when you are not involved in any of these things, your inner self evokes and gets you the informations or gets you the momentum at that point of time is the true self. That true self is the truth and through which one has to function. These various kinds of inventions, modifications, modulations which you have created on the material science and materialistic front has always diverted you from the self and get attracted to the materialism or externalities or bhautika, bhuta, saubhagya. Involved in the Buddhas, involved in the bhautika, man forgets, or man has forgotten to realize the self. The Maya is such, the mind is such that which all the time got engaged in the materialism. Therefore, there was no time or there was no moment left. The mind was free and can take the Simhavlokana to the reality of the self or to the days of the inception of the self. This inability or this negligence or this neglect of the human has happened because of his total ignorance of acceptance of the reality that the self is not the material or the external to him. Getting involved into the bhautika, he gets entangled and forgets the truth, the reality of the inner self. This brings him to take a number of births again and again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. The cycle is never completed. It's only because the fulfillment has not yet arrived. Because from one object to another object, one desire to another desire, the egoistic approach of the material possession and acceptance and the recognition has continued the mind to bribe itself, diverting his true path that has been designed for it. What have you done through this life to develop your inner self? What have you done? Except entanglement of material and external only. Where the truth could not be identified. So the upadhi, the upadhi or the tool or the medium that is necessary for fulfilling of karma is not available with you. You have lost it. How are you going to execute the karmas? Everybody says, I am doing my karma. I am satisfied. I am happy. I am sad. I am worried. I am this. I am this. But none of these are you. None of these are you. What have you done to identify the self? Except on focusing on the Sharira, development of only Sharira and the ego of the Mana, not the Mana again. It's not the, we in terms of many books and many Westerners and many of the people today and many of the people who preaches also, they are said about the mental development, mechanism of mind, mechanism of understanding, mechanism of this, mechanism of that. Somebody said yoga will take you towards that. Somebody said pranayam will take you towards that. Somebody said this will take you to that. Everybody does everything. So many people are doing yogic exercises, not the yoga. The physical part of it. That is the only one part of the yogic exercises. Certain postures have been invented based on the postures of the animals. Most of the asanas are the postures of animals. The names of asanas are also of the animals. This is in order to, when you pose that particular asana, that animality in you is supposed to go away. That animality in you should be, it is there, because the whole animality is there in every human being. This animality has to be released, or this animality has to be realized and suppressed. Suppressed in the sense, not utilized. They are not meant for utilization. When one grows in the hierarchy of from the insect to the human being, so many changes have taken place. When so many changes have taken place, all these experiences are supposed to be in the final one. We call it as a final draft. In a final draft, all these matters have to be incorporated in a subtle way, in a right way, in a particular manner. This draft, that's a final draft. That's a final, this human, the Manushya, the human, is the last in the rebirth cycle. After this, he has to be elevated to a different position. So in this section, or in this session of the humanity, human, all the experiences that the Jivatma has undergone from the inception of learning, everything has to be there. It is there. And that is how he has come to this, after having all the experiences. There is no shortcut. Everybody has to undergo all the experiences. There is no way other than that. Everything, every Jivatma has undergone that. Only the Jivatmas, exceptions are them, those who have entangled themselves in the self-realization from the inception. Except that. Even from the days of creation. There were rishis, there were tapasvis, there were kings, there was praja, and there were asuras, there was, everything was there. Variants were there because of depending upon the capability of the Jivatma in order to attain the Dhyanam. It has been positioned and placed in such positions so that it can have experimental experiences and gain the knowledge. This knowledge, this ignorance, this instability, this ignorance, this negligence is the cause of one's ego and one's desire getting attached to material world and material. He wants to fulfill his kutantra, man's wicked thought. that through material I will find the godliness in me, spirituality in me, which never is possible. But he will keep on trying, generations after generations, janmas after janmas. The man kept on trying to find out the godliness through spirituality, through materialism. And many are preaching, many are practicing, many are continuing. Most of them are continuing rather. Different methods, different ways, different practices. When you are not involved in anything, when you are not involved in any of the material, when you are not involved with your ego, when you are not involved with your desire, automatically the path reveals for execution of karmas. It is not to be learnt. There is no teaching, there is no learning necessary at all. All the exercises of are not necessary. Before, when was the yogic exercises invented? We have got documentary evidence. Is it not? Patanjali. We know exactly how many years ago. When was it? It was in end of Dwapara Yuga or beginning of Kali Yuga. Before that, all the great knowledgeable and rishis, tapasvis, jnanis, everyone who are living only before that. Just an example. When have the pathashalas, schools have come? When people started learning alphabets of different languages? One has to make conscious awareness of all these things. Do not neglect these simple points of life. Everybody is attacking the sutras which are not understandable by anyone. You will never get it. The sutra is that you have to realize when those were the jnanis and we have to struggle to understand even one sutra that they have told, where do we stand? With all this development, with all this modernization, with all this education, with all this whatever you call it as intelligence, we call it as intelligence, after intelligence it has become artificial. It has to be the other way around. From the artificial it has to come to the intelligence. Now today it is from intelligence it has become artificial intelligence. So the intelligence is inferior to artificial intelligence. This we call it as a development, according to me. Please, you may have difference of opinion. Most welcome. But I was just thinking, when you called it as intelligence, it was acceptable or not acceptable. When it has become not acceptable, they called it as now artificial intelligence, When something is not good, original, so you make it an artificial, you accept an artificial, is the development. Is the progress that you made. Where are we going? All for what? Everything is meant for the Sharira. Only for the pleasure of individual body, one body is the reason why all these developments, what you call, is happening or happened. Take it in. I have explained to you in the examples. Is there anything, any material in this world that which is not meant for your physical body's experience? Which is the material available for you? Show me one material available in this universe that will evoke your spirituality. Show me. If that is not there, why should I follow all this? If I do not know me, if I do not have a medium to know me, if I do not have a medium to know my karma, if I do not have a medium to develop myself, if I do not have a medium to promote myself, if I do not have a medium to have liberation to myself, why should I accept that what you have, your fictitious minds have invented here and there, and accept it and pretend to be accepting most of the things we pretend to be accepting? Developing one's own ego, and in the travel, what happens? He forgets what he is supposed to do. I have come all this way. Now what to do? What to do? Everybody is asking. Everybody is trying. Go to every corner. There is a satsang there going on. There is a puja going on. There is a worship going on. Now puja has become different. I will come to that. It's going on. It has become worship. It has become festival. Nowadays, festival papers, advertisements all called sort of puja festival, Durga Puja festival. But do we call this as festival for Shivaratri? Do we call this as festival for Janmashtami? Do we call this as festival that which happens every day, morning and evening in the temples or in your own house, which you are doing? Yes. It has become very truly said in Bengal, at least having stayed so long here, what we hear is that they don't say that we are going to visit the puja. They are going to see the pandal. How many pandals have you seen? How many deities have you seen? Nobody has asked. Has anybody asked? Anybody asked so far? How many deities have you seen? No. Just forget about it. How many pandals have you seen? And that too, not seen, it's hopping from one pandal to the other. The whole life is only hopping like a grasshopper instead of taking the grass himself. Better to take the grass instead of grass hopping. Not the grass. The grass, you know that. What is grass? American grass. It's hopping. Everybody wants to hop. That is puja. All sorts of external egoistic approach towards the very noble cause has been converted into an absolutely egoistic, materialistic function. That's all. They want to put up shops there to eat. They want to put up various clothes to wear and all sorts of pomp and posh. The true puja is that. This whole simplicity. Ancient days, you go to southern India, northern India also was like that. It is not like that. Even today, many of the temples are there. They are allowed with a dress code, which is absolutely simple. You're not supposed to be wearing many things. Many people have fought for that. Why can't we wear this, that, whatever it is, jeans, shorts, things like that? In southern India, they said simple one loin cloth, one dhoti. That too after bathing wet. So that's just a scientific reason. And I used to talk about this in our Reiki class, that how the aura is cleansed and then keeping the wet cloth and the purity is maintained so that we do not disturb others with our aura, which is negative. Or others' aura is not affected towards you. Is that the principle? The purity in the self comes from the simplicity. You load more on you. Where is it? It is fictive. You can imagine even from my words, you yourself analyze it whether I am right or wrong. It comes from simplicity. You have to be very simple to be really pure. And without purity, no worship. Better than puja is worship. Puja is a physical action. Puja is a physical action, just, yes, it is necessary for initial stages for people to get used to the worship. The worship is a total acceptance without any reasoning on it. That's called worship. About worship, I think I have already talked enough. Worship is the total acceptance of without any doubt. Without any nishkama bhakti. That's the meaning of worship. Nishkama bhakti. Nishkama, like nishkama karma, nishkama bhakti. If there is a karma in bhakti, can you call it as bhakti? And what is the quality that one has to develop in oneself, in one's life? People call themselves as modern communism, that one should not have bhakti. Marx has written his Marxism from the Upanishads. He has hidden the spiritual part of it in this. This is recorded. You can publish it. And I have done this. Not only me, so many people have done. He has hidden the practical, the inner development of the self. Only he has taken the karma from that and exposed it on that, and they call it. And each and everything you can relate it to Upanishad. He has taken it from the Upanishads. He has taken it from the Vedic science. But he did not project inherently somewhere in the few last chapters. In the few last chapters, he has just given some hints on the development of the inner self, is that, or the self and the realization of the self. We are not associated with the other practical, external, materialistic things. So, I am not supposed to be talking that, but it came because it comes when you talk a subject, many things comes. That is called Marxism, the communism, and these people who have learned communism have never gone into the inherence of it or true nature of that, or have not understood it, or people who have understood it just didn't want to understand it because it suits them to play mischief. That's not communism. Any ism for that matter. Commune. From community, communism has come. From communism has come. What's the true commune? Christianity, there's commune, you know that. When they give that holy water to them, it's communing, they call it. That is communism. What's the representation of the holy water? Representation of tirtha. When we call in our temples, we call it as tirtha. You know what is the meaning of tirtham? Is there any, in the word tirtham of Sanskrit, is there a word called water? Is there any meaning of water? Apa, Jala, these are the words for water. Apa, Jala, Neera, Neera. Is there any of these words there? No. Tirtha, Tarayate iti tirtha. Tarayate iti tirtha, that which Tarayate, that means takes you from this to that. From this to that means liberation. The one which gives you liberation is by tirtha. Tirtha sthan. Tirtha sthala. The sthala, it's not the sthala. It's the importance of the sthala is that something is there. So when you go there, you get the tirtham. You have visited a tirtham. That's also tirtham. Tirtha sthan. Tirtha nadi. Ganga is also tirtha. What you are getting from the temple also is tirtha. from the Bhagavan's Pada or Guru Pada after the Abhisheka is also Tirtha. Dhara from Bhagavan Shivlinga is also Tirtha. Everything is Tirtha. That which is Tarayate iti Tirtha. Nothing other than that. That which promotes you towards liberation is Tirtham. That's all. Then what is that Tirtha, that what you are getting in temple or in church or anywhere, that is called, it is because of the vibrational frequencies. This I used to explain in my Reiki class. That because of the vibrations that is created inside that due to chanting of mantras, ringing of the bell, doing arati, this, no? Ions and ions are created when they split. When you get that, naturally they are, water being that dissolvent, this all dissolved in the water. So when you take that water, it is medicated water. Scientifically proven that not. I am not a scientist. I do not know science. This is what was told, which I knew, which I heard. So, Tirtham is that Tarayate iti Tirtham. So what I am trying to tell you is that these external egoistic applications or the functions, no, that should change, that should promote, it should turn into the worship. Whole life, as I used to explain about this, no, people in the houses, they do puja, Laddu Gopal and all that. Whole life they kept on doing the same. Making ornaments, making clothes for the Krishna. Krishna himself is a fabric supplier. Lord Krishna has got a lot of cotton mills, silk mills actually. If you don't know, you must read Mahabharata. How many saris he has given in a fraction of a second is what's true. And for that Krishna, you are stitching from the old cloth, you will cut, because cut pieces are available. So cut that and put some glittery things and all that, which is most uncomfortable to wear. Will prick only. Those things like that. Glitters. Very uncomfortable to wear. No human being can wear it. That you will wear for Gopal, my Gopal. Is a puja. This is the concept of puja. The concept of puja for a Vedanti, concept of puja for a spiritual path, the walker of the spiritual path has to change into worship. Worship is that Nishkama karma, Nishkama bhakti. There is no pomp and posh, there is no show off. Simplicity only, and then how do you get this Nishkama bhakti? Was about to tell that. Yes. You get this only from this simplicity. To be simple, to be simple. I used to talk since last 30 years, I think. Be simple, to be simple. Purity comes from only simplicity. And Nishkama karma comes only from the simplicity. As simple as possible. Earlier, there was only loin clothes they used to wear and do good. Even today, you go to any of the southern part of temples, look at the pujari who wears it, he just have only just like a short, maybe. Okay. He wears that dhoti like a short. Well, if it can be modified to a short also, it doesn't matter. It's all right. It should be simple, that's all. It should be convenient. And it should be simple. You see them, they only this way, half of that. And not that because you should not wear. No, I'm not saying that. You can wear. Suppose climatical conditions are different. Go to Badrinath, the Mahant is wearing all that jacket and then big robe and all that warm clothes. Have you seen that? You can see him, he will wear that. And then come. Naturally, it's very cold. Well, in order to protect that, but in many places whether it is cold or not, the real pujaris did not wear it because by wearing a robe when it is cold, I won't call it is against simplicity. It is not against simplicity. Again, the problem of that understanding of the word meaning, vakyartham, is the biggest problem. It's not the cloth that makes it simple or rich. The mind should be simple. When the mind is simple, when the thought is simple, then the prakriya is simple, then automatically your attraction, your egoist attraction will not go to the clothes or wear or any other puja samagris and things like that. It's okay, fine. Everybody has got freedom to express his bhakti in different ways. It's respected, no doubt about it. Bhakti can be projected. But bhakti should be bhakti, not a show off. Bhakti has to be bhakti. Bhakti comes from the internal self, not by... There is no how to express bhakti. There is no prescription for that. Nobody has prescribed that this is how if you do this is called bhakti. Nobody has prescribed it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing on the streets and walking like a madman. That was bhakti. In his simplicity, there was bhakti, only bhakti. He didn't do a puja of worship through the flowers, through the jala, through the material, through the panchendriya, pancha dravyas, but or with the grass, you did not make a ring and wear it. No, nothing. Puja, but for him, that's worship. The man who did the rituals, no rituals, from the rituals he has to come above. I am not saying rituals are not necessary. Rituals have been made in order to promote himself from rituals to the truth. The word ritual itself is that, you see. Puja is that. Puja is that. You be pujaniya is that puja. You be purified. Pujaniya means what? You get purified yourself, then only you are eligible to do the puja. You go with your dirty mind, are you eligible for the puja? Are you eligible for the worship of the Lord? Who is pure? We were just talking in the previous class only about the Purusha and Sattva. We are talking about Purusha and Sattva. That is Vedanta. That's the truth. There are so many places. I want to make these things aware to you. Establish and nail down on your minds if you want to walk on the spiritual path. Not only spiritual path. Even a Grihastha-ashrami, if he wants to lead his life in the proper way of a Grihastha-ashrami, he has to follow it. Grihastha-ashrami is not that, oh, I do not know anything, so let me do whatever I like. That's not a Grihastha-ashrami. He has to be entrusted with a Griha. What is Griham? First of all, do you know what is Griham? To be a Grihastha-ashrami. Griham, which shelters the Atma. Grahyate iti griha. Griham is that which shelters the Atma. Along with Atma, so many other things might have come along with that, but it is meant for protecting the Atma. So through the Grihastha, so that's why it is Grihastha Ashrama, not Grihastha only. It is Grihastha Ashrama. The Atma which has got the karma prarabdha involved in it, in order to eliminate that prarabdha, he takes birth in a place where a convenience is provided by a few assistants around and an environment around is called ashrama, grihastha ashrama, where he is supposed to execute and exhaust the karmas and release and liberate the Atma from there is called a Grihastha Ashrama. Grahyate. Griha is that. So in that place, the one who is leading the group of the one, he has to be a brahmachari, as Maharshi Vaishambhana and Yajnavalkya has told. He has to be a absolute discipliner. The one who has got disciplined himself, the one who can execute discipline in the ashrama, the one who exercises that practices of discipline through the mantras and through the sutras, through the acharana, vicharana, is called the brahmachari. Is where the griha, that is known as griham, sheltering them, is called griham. That's why it is known as grihastha ashrama. There, it's a worship that takes place in Griha. Everything is believed, understood, and carefully moved with absolute faith and without any doubts and questions. Many people have discussed our ancient generation, saying that our old mothers and grandmothers, we have seen our grandmothers and people of that age, 80, 90 and all that, where they did not get attracted and attached to many of the modern materialistic world. When they got married, they took the responsibility of the house. Their teachings are, they have strict adherence to many things. They will read Ramayana at a particular time, read Bhagavatam at a particular time, read the Lalita Sahasranam at a particular time and duration of time, and they are all there with so that they can evoke bhakti in them. They do not forget getting involved in the daily course of household work. They should not forget about themselves. Is the reason why these inductions have been done. And their thoughts and their thinking, you see today and there, what is the difference? They did not go to an office and a sales showroom and the medical shop to sell things. No. They were in the house only. They looked after the household perfectly well. The children were brought up with absolute discipline and respect and the regard and the culture. Who created the ancient people's culture? Who? Their mothers. Who got Adi Shankaracharyas, who promoted Adi Shankaracharya in the small age, allowed him to go to take sannyasa? His mother. That's why in sannyasa, the prescription is there. He has to take permission from his parents if they are living. Then only he can take sannyasa, otherwise not possible. So what I am trying to tell you is that you have to know all these things at least. Many do not know. Many neglect. Many things, many people are learning big things only. But the true things are not being learned. The right things are not being learned. So those ladies who are there, they just worked household and took care of the house, took care of the children, took care of the husband, took care of there was some joint family system. So they enjoyed, they had found out their own pleasure in that. Also, they have worked on the spirituality. There were so many ladies who were doing meditation. There were so many grandmothers I know. They are very close to me who were there at her house, and the grandmother, mother's sister, and another person. They in my house also, the grandmother. They used to do meditation. They used to do all those things, but they used to take care of the house. These are the brahmacharis. Grihastha, they will not deviate from the principles of the dharma. Dharmacharanam was created there. That's how they were brought. They did not have time to today like holidaying or taking care of many other things. No, they didn't want. They did not want. They did not want to. 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 They did Maximum their holiday is going to temple and coming back. You can say that, okay, oh, those are all old, what is that, rock age, I don't know what you call it, stone age. I call it as rock. Stone is smaller, whatever you call it. That was the development. From there, the who have come was the rishis, Swami Chinmayanandas, his gurus, Tabhavana, his place, his mother. Look at that. Where even Ramana Maharshi, who are the people whom we know around in this era, that's why. We do not know about Maharshi Vasishta's mother and Vishwamitra's mother. Right? Vishwamitra again, great personality, no doubt. From the Raja, he has become the Rishi. He's a great man, no doubt. To release a position of Raja, come to the sannyasa is not that easy. No. Today people are not leaving the, what is it, general secretaryship of a very cheap political party, and you are talking about Raja. It's not easy. It's not easy to that power. They get stuck to egoistic getting involved in it. So what I am trying to tell is that here, why did I say all this is because of the yes, I went about the bhakti. Bhakti is absolutely necessary for a person. Bhakti is what again? Bhakti is that you have faith on those disciplines which are not known to us, but which are there, which today, fortunately, it is available. Those days, Maharishis have to do tapasya and find out what are the disciplines. Today, we have got all those sutras through Vedic science, Vedas and Upanishad, and through dharmic way of living. Because in order to, we have to understand dharmic way of living. Dharmam, dharmo rakshati dharma. Dharmam, dharmic way of living. So dharma is there, and general dharma is there. So dharma is that individual karma's execution. So dharma is there. Along with that, the prakriti niyama, the prakriti's dharma is there, natural dharma is there. Execution of those things through that with the discipline. Today that discipline is totally lost. So everything has become a festivity, that's all. Birthday is also a festivity, puja is also a festivity. Harvest festival is also a festival, puja is also a puja festival. What's the difference? Where is the difference? There is no bhakti, there is no worship. The true worship is that simple, from where it comes, from the simplicity, the egolessness. Where is the simplicity come? When your ego goes away, then only the simplicity will come. We will be imagining ourselves as someone and something, bloating ourselves with the poisonous air inside us and think that I am so and so and I am so and so. It's called our ego. Bloated with the toxins is called the ego. When simplicity comes, these toxins are away. I am sevak. That's why the word sevak has been incorporated in the Vedanta and Veda. When I become a when I consciously make myself understand I am a sevak, I am doing seva to the Lord, automatically I feel simple and humble. The simplicity and humbleness is absolutely required for the worship. I always tell Ramakrishna Paramahansa, a great saint again, no doubt about it. Who confronted Totapuri was a saint. One Rishi was there, Totapuri. Who confronted Totapuri when Totapuri said that about the Brahman and finding out of the Brahman and all that. He just told him once that this is how you can attain the Brahman. That's it. Closing your eye and concentrate it. and see it here. Totapuri said, 40 years of my practice I could not see, but you in 2 minutes time I can see you. You are glowing with that Brahma, Dhyanam, Brahma Tattvam, all way of holy. He confronted him for many things. I mean, this one incident I am just telling you. So that was a great rishi. So there's a story, I don't know whether it is true or not, but at least educating us probably, I do not know, that he was wearing someday some new clothes and went to the temple and he could not prostrate because he was conscious of his clothes getting dirty. I always little add on to that and then tell, so story should be little interesting and fancy, you know. So I used to tell about the, what is it?
Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna.
Ramakrishna Paramahansa's Jamai Shashti. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get. So I made went for a Jamai. I heard it from somebody, of course. He has also made it up. So it may not be Jamai Shashti to a man, because his Jamai would not have given him a cloth like that. He was a poor old. He, or his father-in-law, I mean, not Jamai. So anyway, forget about that's not very important. So I always said Jamai Shashti, what a new shirt. So he wore the new clothes and went to the Ma. He used to pray every day, prostrate in front of the deity and the goddess, and used to pray Nishkama Bhakti without any reservations, without any holdbacks, without any environmental changes, without any thinking in his mind, absolutely free and free from all his egos. He used to be praying to him, but that day he could not, he was gone. This simple one layer of division between the new cloth, between him, the true him, and the goddess has separated him from praying. His nature has been changed. His antarlina swabhava could be changed just by one simple cloth. Can you imagine? This is Maya. One simple cloth which can be taken out and removed and throw it out, has made the same saint who had been practicing the sainthood and praying to the Lord, has been changed in a fraction of a second. This could put him into ignorance, and he could not pray. He was upset in the evening, and the whole day he was thinking, why could I not? Because it was not possible to a man like him to identify immediately what is the reason behind it. But his subconscious mind was telling that your shirt, you will lose the position of Jamai. The shirt is dirty, Jamai position is thrown out. Because Jamai is only like a shirt. That's all. It's only a position, basically, which can be thrown out at any time. Okay. So, yeah, what's it? So that simple small fabric of 1 rupee could break his sadhana which he has done for long years, which he has earned with a great struggle and with great reverence, with great thing. See, imagine this. This is what is happening. Immediately having understood this through meditation, took it out and threw it and went and prostrated without any reluctance and hold up and egoistic understanding of that. Even though it may be true, it may not be true. Let us not go into those details of that. But what we understand is that simplicity, because he made it a little bit, what's called, sometimes I forget the words. So, simplicity. When he came back to his own self with this small loincloth, which is not that also is not important to him, maybe because of the scare of the society may not accept. So that not to disturb others, he is wearing something. So that simplicity is not important. Nothing is important. Nishkam Bhakti. Bhakti is absolutely necessary for each human being. so that his ego is kept at a very low level. Ego is absolutely suppressed and submerged in the spirituality, in the bhakti. That ego get diluted in bhakti. Bhakti and Shraddha. This is absolutely necessary. When we have bhakti, we execute only right things. When we say God will punish you, we start immediately doing right things. पाप है ये करने से भगवान क्रोधित होंगे. Immediately you will do good things. You see? Because your awareness of the inner spirituality has to be moved. That Nishkam Bhakti has to be there. That's out of fear you are doing it. Well, even that fear is because that you will get deviated from your reality, from the truth. So in order to have the real Bhakti and Shraddha, you have to have simplicity. Because with all that extravagance around you, within you and around you, which makes you, distract you from the true path of your, is not the one which is meant for you. The true bhakti, when it happens, many people mistake bhakti as doing puja to Bhagavan and standing in front of the God and worshiping, asking for things and things like that. It's not bhakti. Bhakti is an inherent quality of the purification process inside you. Bhakti is a tool for purification of sattva inside you. To evoke that sattva, to establish that sattva. Sattva means the true nature of the self. That's the quality of the bhakti. That's the emotion of the bhakti. When you have bhakti, all your indriya starts functioning in those direction. When you have bhakti, the indriya nigraha also takes place. Through bhakti, it can be done. That's why one of the prescription in the liberation, bhakti yoga or bhakti marga, has also been suggested. It's very difficult. Very few people through bhakti have attained the true God. Very few, you can count on fingers. Dhruva, Prahlada, Shabari, like that. Very few of them are there. Well, many, so few others also. That's bhakti. Immense bhakti. That nishkama karma. That comes from simplicity. So what you do is not the worship. What you do is a physical action that is because of your ego. To make yourself understand, because you have got the ego, so to make yourself understand, to make myself understand, I light the lamp. To make my ego understand, look, you are not important. The light in presence of the God is important. My ego is crashed there. Small tricks, that's all, in day-to-day manner. But that doesn't help, because gradually what happens, it becomes a practice, and we forget about that principles. During this, the rituals are those which by being, I have always told about rituals number of times. Rituals, we have written a big voluminous things. It has to be transformed into worshipped. It has to be transformed into your liberation. It should be a tool for your liberation. The simplicity matters. Bhakti matters. Bhakti is necessary. Bhakti is absolutely necessary. In which way you express bhakti? Bhagavan Ram expressed bhakti to Vishwamitra by pressing his feet. Maharshi said, no, you go and sleep. He said, no. Maharshi, till you sleep, I will make you comfortable. This is my bhakti. This is the way I express. And that jungle, in that forest, no, at night, there is no other way how he can express his bhakti. His way of expressing his bhakti was pressing his feet. And after Maharshi slept, he went to sleep and said, then Lakshman said, I will press your feet. He said, I will not sleep. You did that to him, I have to do it to you. I cannot sleep unless his bhakti has been expressed. Nishkama bhakti. Nobody was there to appreciate it. Nobody is to give him a certificate that you are Chaturvedi, Tripathi, Tripatha Tripathi. There are so many others, no? What is it? There's so many Swamijis have. They will add along with the name 1001, 1008, and all that, you see. It's based on the Upanishads they have studied. That's the qualification they mention, all that. What happens then? Absolutely egoistic. I initially did not know about it. Once I knew about it, that is the reason why it is mentioned there. It's absolutely egoistic approach of that. You see how he is holding up that I am a knowledgeable person. Here we say, even the bondage of knowledge has to be renounced at the final stage in order to attain the Purusha and Sattva. How the ego can hold one back. So the egoistic approach of it. So why I expanded from last class of this is that this is very important, necessary to make the mind understand, and if you do not understand this, if you do not follow this, you cannot walk on the spiritual path. No, simple. One has to have that. Then only one can walk on it. It's okay. On the other side, is it necessary to walk on spiritual path? No, not at all. Next Janma, we need so many species in this world. Please be born again to become that grasshopper. Can be born, no problem. Nobody insists on that. Spirituality is the path of spirituality is simple. The path of spirituality is honest. The path of spirituality is sincere. The path of spirituality is with total faith on the Brahman, the absolute consciousness, the higher consciousness, absolute Brahman. This has to be there. All other things should not take place from that. You should not allow too much of space for all unwanted thoughts to guide you and lead you. Based on what are your thoughts? Your thoughts are based on your experiences only, that is prarabdha. Sancheta karma and agami karma, that has no value except that you can take it as a reference, that's all. Taking as a reference, taking it as practice is totally different. No. Take as a reference, that's all. It has to have restrictions, is why Bhagavan said the God realization, even the power that comes with the God realization, he said that given up to reach the God, absolute everything must be given up. Renunciation is that absolute sentence. The renunciation has got depth, and we keep on explaining and explaining. These are all part of renunciation only, what we are talking. Everything is renunciation. Nishkama bhakti, nishkama karma is everything renunciation. We got attracted and attached to these external material life. Materials, as I told you, all the developments, having all the developments made only for this sharira. Just at least be relieved of that material for some time and just be yourself, where you do not have to do any efforts. That's the thing. To live, we have to earn money, you have to buy grains, you cook the food, eat, fall sick, don't fall sick. So many things, so many activities you have to maintain. To maintain this sharira, you have to undergo a lot of things. All these facilities, or the inventions and innovations and discoveries, as I repeated number of times, I think, but still I am not satisfied. They are all meant for your sharira only for your sharira. Only for your sharira and for your egoistic mind, that's all. It is nowhere, it is, as I told you, I asked you a question also. Find out one material, bhava-bhuta, which makes you spiritually awakened. Silver, gold, diamonds, rice, vegetables, fruits. clothes, fabric, trees, plants, water, air, which makes you spiritually awakened. Renouncing all of them makes you spiritually awakened. On the other hand, use it. You need it, you use it. Material is necessary, we use it. I'm not against that or not objecting to it or not making you understand that we have to just leave everything. No, use it. Because you have a karma, you are born under certain circumstances and you have not been developed yourself towards the spirituality and liberation process. So you have to undergo certain prarabdha karma, you have to undergo. Accept material. Please understand this. So what happens? Your requirements, your desire, your attachment, your attractions and your expectations will be limited from 100 to 5 to that extent. Now you have to fulfill only that 5 instead of 100, which every day multiplies to hundreds. Put them to stop the growth. Only limited will come. That limitation is possible by many methods that we suggest through the Upanishadic studies, Vedantic studies. It is very easy to get rid of that also. It's not that you should not live. Brahmacharis lived, great noblemen lived, they ate, they slept, they woke, they did everything. Yes. They were Prajapatis, they were Maharishis, Saptarishis, they're all that they have done. When you go through all that, they had lived all that. They have lived through the life of a Grihastha-ashrami also, along with his tapasya. And then they went to tapasya. Yes. Well, we explained a lot of examples on the people of that. And, so I think with that, it's not, it will never end, I know. Because the subject is such, like in a sugar bag, you pour water, till the last grain of the sugar remains there. It will keep on flowing, the sweet water will come out from that. You see, sutras are like that. Sutras, at least with my limited knowledge, if this much can be told, there are great scholars, great noblemen, great tapasvis and jnanis. You can imagine how much they can give you, how much they can explain to you, how much in that is inherent in that small sutra, that how the life has to be lived, and so on. Only for liberation. We need all this to know because we are having a life and we are living. Therefore, we have to know about the liberation. Death is not an ultimate liberation. Don't misunderstand. Death is not liberation. Death is a change, that's all. From this to that. Death is not liberation. Yes, certain liberation practices can happen after death. Yeah, that facility is there. That facility is there. So according to the true nature of that, many people are practicing, many people are teaching many things. Tantra, mantra, many other things are being taught. They are all ultimately meant for renunciation and liberation. Okay, for anything. How many types of meditation today are going on? Somebody says 24 hours of meditation, somebody says 32 hours of meditation, somebody says 5 days of meditation, somebody says this, somebody says that. And flocking people, how much? What is the charges? 250,000 for 5 days. I don't mind paying money. I'm not criticizing, please Don't misunderstand me on that. I am making my conscious aware of that. Is this all necessary is what I am asking. What I am asking to myself, I am not asking anybody. I am not against about the practicing. Everybody has got their own karmas, everybody has got their own assignments, they are all doing it. They are all wonderful people, they are all great people, very noble people, wonderful, great. I have no objection to that. I am asking only one thing, which is that which makes you aware of the self. Can you give me 1 ounce of that? Nectar. No. I can tell you, renounce that 1 ounce, don't get detached from all this, be in yourself, you get that. This is the mantra, this is the sutra, that to be identifying yourself and to be renouncing, to be liberating yourself. In the status of liberated, in the status of renounced, in the status of detached. I told you some time back, from the day you detach is the true attachment. The true attachment is after detaching. The true detachment takes place. When you have that, then true attachment comes. What's the true attachment? The true attachment is that which is you are attached to yourself. Today you are attached to all other things other than the self. Is why we call it as attachment. The true attachment, the true self, well, when it is self getting attached to self, we do not call the term as attachment, that's all. Because for attachment, there has to be two. One attached. 2 attached. 3 attached. There has to be 1. So with 1 alone realizing, we don't call 1 as attachment. But I say that detachment of all these number of things have the attachment to the self. That's what it is. That's where the beginning of attachment begins. That's the end of the attachment. That's the beginning of attachment. When you can attach to yourself, you are attached to the universe. Why few people? Why few things? Why few of that? The attachment to yourself is attachment to the universe. Vishwavyapi, Vishwarupi, Vishwavyapi becomes. That is why the self, realizing the self, to be with the self, to know the self, to detach, to identify. That's why Bhagavan said here, that's why it started all sparked from this one word, that it said, of Purusha comes destruction, of final seed of bondage. The final seed of bondage and liberation is attained. So the final seed of bondage has to be destroyed is what that I was talking about, not the bondage, I was talking only about the seed. All this what I spoken is the meaning of the seed, that's all. In that we have bondage. All these are seeds, what we spoke last 2 classes, 3 classes. It's all seeds. So liberation comes only about the final seed of bondage, and liberation naturally when the bondage is removed, the seed is no more there, the plant will not come. Otherwise every new rain comes, suddenly it will bloom again. You do not know it is subtle there. Is the truth and has to be definitely followed and has to be truly followed in order to get ourselves liberated from this shackles and golden chains and not. 52nd shloka. Oh, today is also. Anyway, having told that, let me recite the sutra at least. Will you allow me? Sthanyupanimantrane, this is another episode. Sthanyupanimantrane sangasmayakaranam punaranishta prasangat. Sthanyupanimantrane Sthanyupanimantrane sangasmaya akaranam puran anishta prasangat. Puran anishta prasangat. So after all this exercise, the yogi has finally managed to come out of the seed of bondage and renounce everything, and he thought liberated himself because he is not attached to anything, he is not seeing anything, he is not visualizing anything, he doesn't have any anubhava, anything of anything other than Brahman alone, and he was happy, the sage, at that point of time. Sthanyupanimantrane. Upanimantrana. On being Upanimantrana. On being Sthana Upanimantrana. That's Sthanyupanimantrane. On being invited to that position. Sthanyupanimantrana. That is, on being invited to that position by whom? By the celestial being, by the Supreme Brahman. Because after having all this done by the sage, having taken that, the yogi should not feel pleasure or pride. We'll talk about it. For there is a danger of revival of evil. Tap, he dropped the earthen pot with the water down within a fraction of a second, broke into pieces because of the heaviness and gravitational force of the ego. Om Shanti. Next class, we have enough for 2 classes. Om Shanti. Shalom.